Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Unfiltered Tales, Season 5, Episode 22. Today, I bring you Mr. Martin Henderson today. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good. Martin Henson.
Henson, I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad you got me on.
All right, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Martin Henson. I am the founder and executive director of the Men Foundation, organization that provides support spaces and advocacy for Black men. Been around for 7 years. It's based in Boston. We do work that's in person and digital, trying to give an intermediate space for brothers who need support. So that's what I'm about.
Okay, all right. So, we were about brothers that need support. So, my favorite saying is this: ain't nobody, as black man anyway, ain't nobody
hmm
coming to save you.
hmm
That's my biggest thing, is just like, I feel like it is nobody coming to save us. Also, it comes down to, like, we're supposed to still thrive under all the pressure that we're under, and just not say anything about it, just keep going on. It's kind of like when we were younger, when children, and your dad used to say, what you crying for?
hmm
So
hmm
when I asked you that, so and when we say we need support, like, what messages are men taught about strength, vulnerability, and asking for help?
Yeah, a lot of the conversation in the current day and age about men is very critical. But growing up as a young man, becoming a man, and having a child of my own, being a man, being a Black man comes with a lot of responsibility, not just for your own well being, but for that of your community as well. So Black men have all these values for taking care of other people, respect. We have a spiritual sense about us, as many Black folks, at least in America, have some sort of a religious affiliation. So
Mhm.
this deep sense of responsibility, it becomes can become a weight. It can become a burden because you have to hold it together for the people around you. You have to be strong enough to navigate all of the pressures, not just impacting your family, sometimes your community, your kids, like you have to harbor all of that. So men have to figure out what type of man I'm gonna be in a world that doesn't allow me to exist without pressure.
Okay,
It's
so
hard.
right, it is hard. So you would you say, at what age do boys begin to feel pressure to, like, to start handling things on their own?
I remember when I used to I've done a lot of work with kids and youth across a variety of venues. But I remember when I used to work with kids in facilities,
Hmm.
I used to always be, and the kids would be, let's say they're likable or charismatic or cute or whatever. I used to feel so bad because I knew that the moment that little mustache come in, they're gonna be considered to be a man, and it won't be fair. Like, and they won't be ready for it. And so that's the other side of that is seeing a kid, black young black male that's big for his age. I feel so bad for these young men. They may be 10 or 11. They
Hmm.
look maybe 15 or 16.
Hmm.
You know that they're younger, but you know that the world treats them like they're men, and they have the mind of a child. They're still developing. They still want to be
Right.
nurtured and cared for. So the moment that you're perceived like to be a man, and we know for black boys, they're perceived to be a lot older than they actually are.
Hmm.
That's the age. So when I get worried, I really get worried at puberty. That's when I'm like, ah. And then for me, I remember, I used to have my mom didn't want me to have braids when I was my mom and my dad. They didn't want me to have braids when I was younger. So I'm 37.
Hmm.
So at the time, um, it was hot to have braids in the straight back. You know,
We from the
you
same
know,
era. We from the
yeah,
same era.
yeah. It was hot. I wanted to do that because why not? Tall tees. I don't know what everybody else is on who listen to this, but that's the time. The
Hmm.
2000s. I graduated in 2006. So when I was coming up, growing my hair and getting braids, my parents saw a hardship I didn't see,
Right.
and of course they want to protect you. So what it came up when that came up for me, I remember we was on going to a family reunion or some sort of family event, traveling across country, family, cousins in the car, whatever. Stopped somewhere and I had a big bubble coat on. I don't know if you remember that. It was,
I had
you
one
had
on
to,
earlier.
yeah, yeah. had, a, had a bubble coat on. I had my hair out, nice little fro, picking it out, walking through the store
Hmm.
like I'm here, and and we just stopping somewhere, and the guy comes from behind the register that says like, I saw you take that, saw you steal that stuff. And I'm
Hmm.
confused. I'm checking my pockets for shit that I know ain't in there
Right.
because the event itself. I'm sorry, I curse. I don't know if I'm
No, you
able to
good.
curse
You
here.
good. You can curse. You fine.
Um, the event itself is so jarring to me that my consciousness of the moment is in the way that he's treating me.
Hmm.
So I can't even remember how old I was at the time. But my mom going off
Hmm.
like, "How dare you?" And I'm still checking my pockets
Made
because
you think you stole it.
I'm thinking that maybe I picked up something and forgot I picked it up. But that situation is just an illustration for young men coming into a moment where the world perceives you in a way that you don't perceive yourself. And when I see other folks, other young men, men who are becoming older or prepubescent, like I get worried. So I'm reminded of that moment. So that's when it was for me. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I remember that.
I got a similar situation. I can't remember the year, but me and my dad, we went to Atlantic City to see a fight. So I had to be older than 21. I had to be like 21, 22 at this time.
Mhm,
And we're walking by the outlets or whatever, by the strip, and a lady come over, and the lady and this man come over there and just like, yo, where the weed at? I'm like, what?
mhm,
And so my dad was just like, it's just a persona the way you dress. So
mhm,
they're going to automatically think that you got something. Like you said, tall tee, big hoodie, fitted hat
mhm.
backwards, just walking. And it's just like, yo, what are we at? Like, how would I don't know. I'm not from around here.
Right.
But that's just how society looks at us, that persona that they have of how we dressed and the stereotypes to say, okay, maybe he's into that act. I'm not
Mhm,
into that act. This is the way I like to dress.
mhm,
You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? The same way you said about, your braids bubble coat and they like you stole something. Like, nah, I didn't steal anything. But that's just how the world perceives us.
Right, right. So what's the cognitive load, if I'm using words from psychology, what's the mental health cost of constantly being perceived as if you are deviant or deficient?
Hmm.
I give you an example. So I talk to folks in the past 10 years or so, there's been a lot of conversation about men being problematic and so on and so forth. The pendulum swinging to look at things from the woman's point of view, which
Hmm.
as it does, we all can grow from thinking about things in a different way. But I would have people come and tell me things about my experience that they're imagining, and they
Hmm.
don't know. They don't know what it's like. So when I was younger, going back to the time I had braids, and even before, I'm 5'10". I'm 6 foot. I'm 6 foot. I've been saying
Hmm.
I'm 5'10" for a long time. Let me correct. I'm 6 foot. At the time, I think when I was younger, I might have been like around 5'10". And I realized people's snap judgment impacted the way that they engaged me.
Hmm.
So when they said something to me, if I did not speak, if they were just talking to me and they were going off what they assumed I understood and what I did not, they assumed I was less intelligent, just off rip. So what I learned to do as a young black man, I adapted. I didn't put this into words until maybe the past 4 or 5 years. I learned to speak first. You speak fluently. You don't stammer. You don't stutter. You throw in a couple words that they think might impress them. Now they're like, oh, now the whole interaction is different
Hmm.
because you understand and read me a certain way. So going into the things I do now, creating space for black men is not enough therapists, it's not enough counselors, it's not enough psychiatrists for the racial trauma, the vicarious trauma we have to navigate. All of these stories that I'm carrying and the brothers around me are carrying, that we haven't been able to offload. Because going back to my scenario, I'm telling you, people are coming telling you about what they think it is to be a black man. And I'm trying to be gracious and I'm trying to be kind. And all of these things I have to pack in. Because you asked me when we first started, like about what it's like to be a black man and the hardship that's related to it. All of that. When does it come out? Like, because I know what it's like for the men who live into their 40s and 50s and die from a stroke, die from stress,
Hmm.
die from all the things that they didn't say. So I'm like, okay, what's the space look like where brothers can come in light of all these oppressive forces we have to navigate, and you can unpack whether it's something that's happened before in your life or something that just happened in the past week. You can have brothers receive you. You can be received if you are coming from whether you're straight, gay, trans. If you're a black man and you coming into this space, we got room to hear you and listen to you. So that's what I wanted to create from all of that.
Okay. So, I mean, it sounds like you're doing a good job. So, you said about therapists, and I understand, with therapists and doctors, it's with us, black people in general, it's about representation.
Yeah.
It's, about representation. So, but now speaking towards men, why are men less likely to talk about depression, anxiety, and like loneliness?
Yeah. There are a lot of men navigating that. And talking about depression, anxiety, and loneliness often comes through the field of direct emotional vulnerability. Like sitting across to somebody eye to eye, I feel blank, throwing out all your feelings, and then expecting them to receive you well,
Right.
right? One thing that we know about men is that men do well doing modes of emotional expression when that's not at the forefront.
Hmm.
So we know about brothers who a lot of dudes will have a they might come together to watch the game or something like that, and in the middle of that, yeah, man, I'm man, that my girl tripping, a
Hmm.
job doing this. They watching the game. They
Hmm.
just know the Cowboys is on 3rd and 15,
Right.
and midway through it, like there's narratives coming out because we don't have to. We're not facing each other for this modes of vulnerability to be there. When you put men in positions where they have to put emotional expression as a primary focus, that's not how we've been conditioned to exist. So men do
Right.
really well with like shoulder to shoulder source of connection. When we're doing some sort of shared task or in the barbershop, you talk to a barber. He'll tell you that
Hmm.
he's heard stories and stories and stories. And the interesting thing is that we're never looking at each other face to face.
Mm-mm.
You're looking at what he's receiving what you're saying, and you're having that moment, but not sometimes between not just you and him, but in other men in the space.
Right.
And there's a variety of modes. Now, when we look at the systems that we're able to evaluate, if a man says, "Hey, I'm ready. I need to go get this care," about only about 30% of people use therapy or go to therapists. It's not a lot of people that actually do it. And then when you get into the realities of getting a therapist with health insurance, they arguing about healthcare premiums right now.
Hmm.
And if they don't figure this out, people gonna have a hard time.
Right.
So not only that, therapy is like functionally. This is why I say for working class people, therapy is functionally unaffordable. It's just it's not a thing that you can consistently and capital on the consistently have access to. So these other modes of group support, things that are therapeutic but not therapy, are things that I advocate. Now I advocate it in conjunction with these other systems too when you can get them. But I know for a lot of folks, getting them is hard. Getting insurance, good insurance is hard.
Hmm.
Then you got to find if you want a black therapist, that's hard. Let's say
Right.
you a black guy that wants a black male therapist. Oh, you in trouble. you know,
Yeah. The
hopefully
percentage is low.
the percentages are they're low. So for me, in the times that I've gone and went to therapy, I had to choose. I'm like, look, gonna be on a 3 to 6 month wait.
Hmm.
Hopefully, if I still need the therapist by the time I get one, and
Right.
then by the time I get one, they probably not gonna look like me. So there's a variety of things happening in relationship to the conversation about men seeking help.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, but again, like I said earlier, it's about representation, and that 3 to 6 month wait list is terrible. And then sometimes, you might be in a small town that you might got to go to the next town over, and it's just like,
Hmm.
and your work schedule does not provide you ample time to get over there to say, okay, now you got to miss work. And that becomes another different situation now, whether you work in salary or hourly, based
Hmm.
on if you can move like that.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and then what you also said, healthcare is definitely getting ridiculous pricing wise.
Yeah, yeah. So when we start talking about mental health and what leads to the well-being of black men, which is what I'm invested in, and to some degree in men as a whole, because there's a lot of things that are overlapping,
Hmm.
it's important that we think very practically about the types of support that men can have access to. Because one of the things that's really hard for me is when folks are ready to talk about men's inability to engage in uh, help seeking behavior,
Right,
and then it becomes a why men just don't want to go. And everything that we know about how this country in the United States treats our healthcare system and systemic oppression and racism and the barriers of the healthcare system, there's a lot more to say about the ways that our health is not seen as something to be taken seriously,
right,
that far outweigh somebody's willingness to go. Because if it ain't nowhere to go, me getting mad at you for not seeking help is just another form of pressure. So I try to think about how can I make the world more accommodating to the needs of the supportive black man, so I don't get caught in saying, "Man, that brother just needs to go to therapy." Because when people need help, they oftentimes seek it out. Now, how are people responding
hmm,
when they seek it out? Now, I have a whole conversation about being a man, and I was explaining to folks, you having a hard time, and you look at, let's say let's say your partner, for example, and you say, man, you laid out there, and they just give you the look like, well, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to figure it out, because that's the only way that they know the men to exist. And now
right,
you in the middle of crisis, if you don't have community that you can go to and support you, you're in the hard part, because now I just poured my whole soul out,
hmm,
and it's sitting on the floor, and I'm looking at it, not knowing what to do with it. So like this is, if we can create communities and we can change the way we think about male support, if we can lean into the natural areas and lenses that men likely are like more likely to use, and while offering them new things, while changing the points of view of men as it relates to seeking out help, I think we'll go a long way.
right. Now, you said something right there about just having a partner as well, but sometimes that ain't always cracked up what it is to be, because they might fire that back at you when you feeling open and vulnerable in a negative way. Like, damn, that's how you going to treat me? Like, when told
Mm-hmm.
you this because you wanted me to open up, now that's like sends me off the deep edge to be like, well, damn, I really can't even talk to you for real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, it's tough, and because people don't know. I think the way we talk about the needs of folks across gender can we struggle to see men as vulnerable. We struggle to see men as victims. Uh, so this can sometimes mean that if you're dating someone, let's say you're heterosexual, you're straight, and they don't know how much it took to get to the point to share.
Hmm.
Like you're gauging them. You might be gauging them for years to figure out, are you safe enough for me to put this story with, while you are oftentimes, as the man, you're the receptacle for whatever pain or frustration or hardship or emotional strife that they're navigating. And so men, we're having to learn how to negotiate our needs and how to think about what safety looks like for us outside of a physical threat, but in an emotional sense, and
Hmm.
give partners the opportunity to be able to stand in that space in a good way, not as a sole person,
Right.
but as somebody who can be a support as well.
Correct. So, um, how can our communities normalize men supporting one another?
Yeah, I think we can highlight the men support spaces that exist around us. A lot of times we have informal spaces that do that. Like I mentioned, the barbershop, a lot of coaches, a lot of mentors become those places that men can get that support. They can get the level of connection that they're looking for. But once you get outside of being 18, if you're not going to college or something, those things tend to be less and less. And then you're left with opportunities or features like the church. But if you're non-religious,
Hmm.
you're probably not going to be joining a men's group at the church or a male Bible study or the whatever leadership development that they're doing at the time. So we can look to all the resources that we have available, from the mental health supports to the spiritual supports to the communal supports, as all functioning to support the men in our community, and giving them a place to talk. I encourage folks to create men's groups. The idea of men getting together and just sharing is therapeutic within itself. And those guys are going to get to a point where they're able to support and hold each other once they've learned to navigate through that emotional barrier. I know sometimes with brothers, you got to almost die with them or something. We was in a car wreck together, and he pulled me
Hmm.
out the back, and that now y'all say I love you, because sometimes it's like that. But you can find ways to get there by creating it and having really following the leadership of folks that are already doing it, and uplifting the informal ways that it's occurring and happening. So I think if we change the way that we look at what men need and allow them opportunities, and we ask them different questions, and we feel the different places where support can happen, men can do better. Now, they also the things that people are going to have to navigate, like I mentioned, healthcare. I mean, like I didn't say this about the economy is there, the prison
Hmm.
industrial complex is there for black men. Like, so we're having to navigate greater threats with less resources. So knowledge of just the reality of our situation is also helpful.
Right. Okay, got a question in the and how does hold on, what? How does stigma around men's mental health affect suicide rates?
It's big. It's big. It's For one, we have a general stigma around suicidality.
Hmm.
There's folks who, you know how common it is that people die by suicide, and the family keeps folks from knowing because they're ashamed about it,
Right.
because they don't want people to be aware that they were navigating through that. Or how common it is for people to have been navigating addiction, and the culmination of that is them dying by suicide through that addiction, but it's shared as an overdose. Part of it is being willing to share what the impact, what the effect of that is. And again, I'm always an advocate of pulling people together to just talk about it. You know how many spaces where grief is just a thing nobody discusses? Somebody passes away, everybody's broken down, but getting folks together to talk about it feels like too much. The people feel like if you break the seal, then you can't control what comes through. But there's so much relief in that pain, that emotional pain that comes from either what people dealt with and died and passed on, or what they're dealing with now. Uh, the B Men B Men Foundation. If you look us up on Instagram, we created a reel giving some tips around how men can navigate, or how you can think about supporting people navigating thoughts of suicide or thoughts of depression, because it's really important. But a lot of it is just talking, giving folks the space. Sometimes being around folks when they're sad, just showing up. And there's times in my life where I knew people was going through it, and I realized this time doesn't need a lot of words in this moment, but actually I'm gonna just be with you. I'm gonna just go hang out with you, just sit at your spot with you. Maybe
Hmm.
we just go to you want to go do a thing. Don't worry, bro, I got you. We just go out there and chill. And that's the thing. Sometimes
Right.
with men, they'll come back months later. Man, hey, you did this, man. I really appreciate it. And a lot of the
Right.
times, one of the biggest thing, my secret tips, it's not an accident that I mentioned that I've gone to therapy before. So I'm acknowledging that as a man who's navigating, who's well spoken, who does a lot of things, that there's been times where I've needed support and help too. So when I go to folks and I say, yeah, there's a moment where I had a hard time. That always goes over better than me telling somebody that they should go talk to somebody. Because I'll do that disclosure, like, yeah, I was going through X and Y. That's how I dealt with it. Again, it might be months later.
Right.
They now see that, yeah, man, you said that thing. I was thinking about it, like who you talk to, and then now I can be the safe space for them to land, and they know that I know what it's like. That helps me probably more than most things. It's just being like I've been there too.
Right. And that's the thing what you just stated, just showing up for people sometimes that could just lift the weight off their world. Like, yo, can you
Hmm.
just go down here with me or whatever? Or yo, I just reached out to you just to check on you. Yo, you want to go do this today or whatever? And it's
Hmm.
just like, yeah, I mean, and you get out with your guys, and no, next you like you said, then the shit just start coming out. It
Yeah,
just start talking, and you like, and come back months later to be like, bro, that when we did that thing that day, I really needed that
yeah.
because you never know what somebody's going through. And just like you said, a lot of people die through suicide and the family don't know, and you never know. You being that outlet that day just might have saved that person. Be like, shit, I got more to live for than what I'm going through.
Hmm. Yeah.
So and that's what they say. You never know what anybody's going through. So you need to, sometimes, even when somebody calls you, and I'm big on this. If somebody start explaining their problems, I try not to interject. I just let you
Mhm.
talk.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna be like, oh, at a time I did this or not. Go ahead, yo, just talk.
Hmm.
Just talk. And you'll give me the space when to talk because you'll probably break at the end. But anyway, fuck that, yo. Anyway,
Hmm. Right.
but
Right.
you knew I listened to you the whole
Right.
time because you heard, damn, yo, you all right? What blah 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 blah. Yeah, so you know I heard you. So you're like good now because you got it
Hmm.
off.
Hmm.
So I mean, that was actually get ready to lead into my final question to be like, what does healthy support for men actually look like?
Yeah, that was a great point. Listening, modeling, listening to what people are saying, modeling healthy approaches. So if I'm saying, and I don't mean people necessarily have to therapy has to be the venue, but if I'm acknowledging I had a hard time and I navigated this like this, so I'm modeling being open, being vulnerable. So if you're the person that people feel connected to, or you're the person that people look up to, when they see you doing that, they say, "Oh, okay, I can be like that too."
Right.
Right? They can follow your lead into a place of healthy relationship and really connection. Isolation is a silent killer. I've been saying it for a long time.
Hmm.
And men, that's one of the hard parts of around men and masculinity is that we want to master things.
Hmm.
We want to show that we are capable, and we're encouraged by society to do that. But that means that we're doing things alone. When things get hard, you know what? I got it. Because I have to remind myself, if something's hard, hey, don't isolate. Let somebody
Right.
know. Because that could, because first off, when you realize somebody else is going through it or that you have support, it changes your mindset, changes your
Hmm.
mentality. For me, one of my things with mental health is I always make sure I'm in community somewhere. Just being around people changes the way I feel. I can't put a pin exactly on what it does,
Hmm.
but I guess it makes me feel seen. It makes me feel valued. I see other people I value. You just feel more human when you're around other folks. So I would say listening, modeling uh, ways that you feel like you want to see people show up or showing them how to do it, and then staying connected. Like those are really quick tips because I make it a point to give for me to get my time from people and to give people their time for just ain't talk to them. Oh, I need to get them their time because they're part of who I am. I
Hmm.
actually need them to be well. So that's what I would suggest.
Okay. So beemanfoundation.org, correct?
Correct.
All right. So you can reach them at beemanfoundation.org and any other places they can reach you as far as like Facebook, Instagram, or anywhere.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Uh, we are here. So we do support programs or support spaces for Black men every second Sunday. So that means a space so you can just drop in digital if you're from wherever you are, in person if you're in Boston, you just show up and just talk about whatever you navigate from the little thing to the biggest things. Or if you just want to be around to hear other Black folks and just hear them talk, other Black men specifically, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Okay. Definitely. Thank you for coming, and we appreciate you for coming out. Next week, people stay tuned. Next week, next Wednesday, 7 p.m. We have a sexologist coming through trying to spice up your love life or whatever that case may be. She told me to say. But next week, same time, same channel. Thank you for coming through, Martin. Thank you for dropping the knowledge on, the support of Black men. Definitely check them out. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, bmenfoundation.org. And we'll see you next week.